Is it me, or does the camera gear world seem a little bit stagnant right now? With every camera gear release recently, I've kind of felt uninterested for the most part, just simply about the new gear available. It really feels that most releases feel like they're being held back. And I kind of want to get a little bit more detail into that because it seems very vague, but it'll make sense when I explain it further. What I mean by that is honestly that most cameras in the last 5 to 7 years seem that have been just very great and have really great specs and video capabilities and photo capabilities with autofocus and codecs and everything, that it feels like they're just doing very minor updates with the new gear. What's that? Are you gonna ruin the shot? Okay, she's gonna ruin the shot. She's gonna ruin the shot. Okay. Honestly, a lot of camera gear companies have been bringing out a lot of new gear that looks great because it does have updated specs from its predecessors, but I feel like they're holding back on purpose. Because with the upgrades that these camera companies provide, it almost seems like the specs could have already been in the previous one. They just didn't want to go ahead and put it all in one go to be able to release more gear, I guess, which is kind of annoying to deal with. And of course, brands can always prove me wrong by sending me their latest and greatest products to review on the channel, see if they're really that much of an upgrade from the previous ones to really, prove me wrong here. But you won't, and that's okay. Reverse psychology. But let's talk about what more could camera companies actually give us now, in all honesty. Sure, shooting in 8K RAW internally just sounds phenomenal, I guess, but some cameras already do that, and what's gonna be next? To me, it seems like that would be enough, but I suppose, you have to innovate and create more to see what's gonna come out next, but most cameras that I even shoot with just shoot 4K, and one of them shoots 7.2K oversampled down to 4K, and I feel like that's been just more than enough. Sure, you can update all the cameras to have the 8K internal RAW and whatever new specs that some cameras already do it without a monitor, and it'd be great to have internally, and I get that it's enticing and everything, but it seems like they're still holding back when they could have just already given it to a lot of their newer cameras, but they just don't want to start doing that as a standard. And in all honesty, do you even really need all that internally for most of the average users? Because I know somebody's gonna start arguing with me saying that, well, that's why they have different levels of cameras and everything. But it seems like even like Nikon with their Z6 Mark III having a lot of cool codecs in it that most of the average users probably won't use, but it's still great to have already in a good compact body kind of style, as well as the Lumix S5 Mark II X that has that for internal RAW, I believe, and everything. Obviously, Sony's kind of falling behind, but I'm sure with their new Sony a7 IV, they're gonna have to do something more enticing to keep up with the other camera brands, because yes, they have the A9 Mark III that has really great specs, as well as the A1 Mark II, but obviously look at the price tag of that it's not really that enticing for the average user, and I get that they have different levels of what cameras they'll have for each purpose. See, most cameras already are advertising some sort of AI chip, like in the Sony line of cameras, and yes, it has better autofocus, like how my Sony a7C Mark II has the AI chip versus my a7 IV, but is it that big of a difference that I notice it? Not all the time. And sure, some other camera companies can catch up to just the new autofocus and everything, how Lumix has been bringing up a little bit better autofocus with their cameras, but it always seems like they're always bringing out a new camera to update the previous camera rather than already have had the specs available, just due to the fact that they wanted to hold back a bit to be able to bring out more cameras because it becomes more sales. And I personally just don't want it to become the iPhone sales model, if you will, because it's like where they come out with a new version that's just a little bit better, where they could have honestly just already put it in the camera, or it could have been a firmware update. And I know why they would be doing to a certain degree that model is because it keeps the profits rolling in, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's just hurting the consumption, because a lot of these cameras would be fine to be released in less years amount and just have firmware updates to keep it fresh and relevant. Maybe do a type of upgrade if you want to for this amount, rather than bringing out a whole new camera with just minor updates that could have been literally like the email sent for a meeting. But in all honesty, out of the camera gear that keeps coming out with all this new technology, there's one thing that I'm actually excited about more often than not, and that is releases of lenses. What's exciting for me is seeing alternative of focal ranges that are coming out and different types of brands bringing innovation for that. I love my 35-150 by Tamron, that I honestly love using it so much, and it's such a weird focal range, but at the same time, it's such a great focal range that I'm hoping that I see more innovation in that aspect of the world of camera gear than so much cameras now. I'd honestly love seeing a lens of this focal range again with maybe a little bit smaller or lighter version of it. Vibration compensation would be great, to be honest, because it's nice to have that as a little bit of a bump whenever you're shooting in the more telephoto range, but I understand that they're gonna have to find some innovation to create that, because the focal range that you get with the aperture f2 to 2.8, it's gonna make the lens be bigger. But that's the innovation that I'm hoping to see more from camera gear, rather than now how much the cameras themselves have progressed so much with the specs that they have, that it's not as enticing or thrilling anymore to me, but I really just prefer seeing more what's happening with this. I've been seeing a lot of brands bring out their cinema type of lenses, which has been really cool because I've been looking into them myself to see that new perspective of things where it could be a nice quality cinema lens without breaking the bank, so that you can start your, cinematography journey and get something good without, hurting that bank account, because it's never fun to see those lenses that cost you $2,000 plus to be able to get started. And I know there's gonna be upcoming releases where I'm going to be excited of what they might come out with, because maybe they proved me wrong about what's happening with the camera gear world, and maybe I'll make a video about it. So I know somebody might say, oh, I went to your other video that you were complaining about camera gear being stagnant or whatever. Now you're excited. Seems like such a, clickbait person. And it's not, it's just, I'm obviously right now with the previous releases, it's been cool and all, but it hasn't felt like I was like such in awe for the price point to specs and everything, that hopefully the camera brand world will see that and start noticing that people just don't want the new camera to be good for a bit, but they want it to be for more long term, where they can get proper updates how other camera brands do so that it lasts you with your investment that you're doing. And I know it's not the most, capitalistic way to view it as a, company themselves, because they have to maximize profits, but you also want to take care of the people that are willing to spend their money so that you have a paycheck. But I'm not going to hold my breath on anything of the future releases. I'm just going to see what happens like the rest of us, but I guess we'll just see. So simply, what am I going to be focusing on with all these camera gear releases? Well, that is to simply just go ahead and practice with the gear that I already have available to me that is working so well. I plan to keep practicing with the gear that I have to become better at storytelling, visuals, and everything that I can with available gear to me, until something that really wows me that I feel like I need to upgrade, then I might consider it. But I've been wanting to shift my mindset of not prioritizing the newest gear, but the gear that just works and makes my life easier. And that's honestly currently what I have for the jobs that I've been doing and what I've been doing here on the channel. So I'm simply just going to be happy with the gear that I have currently. Still enjoy a little bit of what camera gear will be going, because I like the tech of it, but I'm hoping that I'll get proven wrong and the camera companies themselves will bring some innovation that will just wow me and not feel like I'm unthrilled or stagnant when it comes down to that world, and hope for the best, especially when it comes down to anything like with the gimbals that I keep seeing releases on them. And it's great to see creators be able to work with great brands. I've done it myself too, but it's gotten to the point where I feel like every just release feels the same to me, that I'm just getting lost in the marketing world, especially studying marketing in university, that I'm kind of just getting to the point where I'm like, when is it enough? But yeah, I would love to know what your thoughts are when it comes down to the latest releases of camera gear. Has it felt stagnant to you as well? Or has it been very thrilling to see what they're coming up with slowly but surely? And you're okay with those slow steps as they progress with the new gear from the previous one to give you minor updates here and there as, a new product? We'd love to know your thoughts down below, so make sure to go ahead and leave a comment. Let's get some discussions going. I would love to know, and just see if I'm the only one when it comes down to this, this, or are others feeling, you know, the same or whatever. So let's see what happens. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.